Game Breaker TV.
This is Ed Park, aka Taugrim, bringing you my first Bounty Hunter Powertech PvP video. This is the mirror to the Trooper Vanguard, and this footage is from a Huttball match when I'm at level 20. So I'm spec'd in the advanced prototype tree. This is the same as the tactics tree for Vanguard, and it's a tree that emphasizes our short range capabilities out to 10 meters. What's awesome at level 20 is you get an ability called Retractable Blade, which has a direct damage component, but more importantly applies a dot to your target, which allows you to use rail shot. When engaging opponents, the most important thing to do when there's mass fighting is look for opportunities to pop death from above. It absolutely wrecks people. You can see I'm getting thousands of points of damage on multiple players, and you can absolutely bury them in a heal deficit. I get a ninja killing blow there with Flame Burst, which is our spammable 10-meter range attack, and then I switch back over to this player and finish him off. Now, as that target is strafing away from me, I go ahead and pop Explosive Dart. It's a really nice ability because it gives some delayed burst damage. I get crowd control to go ahead and pop Determination to break out of it. All classes in this game get an ability to remove a CC effect on a 2-minute cooldown. And as I'm pressuring him, I'm trying to pop Rocket Punch whenever he's in melee range. I've got Gut running on him for the dot, and I'm using in between my global cooldowns, I'm popping Flame Burst to help finish him off. I get the ball here, and it's really important. I just burned my CC breaker, so I don't have one, and one of the smart players is alertly going across on the other side of the hazard. It's better to pass across hazards instead of traversing them when your CC breaker is on cooldown. So I go ahead and pass up ahead, and our flag carrier ends up getting killed, so I drop an AoE here, Death from Above, and I get an unusual opportunity here. The enemy flag carrier is holding the flag right near their base. He really should have dropped down to the pit, but we managed to kill him. I get the ball, and then I start strafing over toward the goal line. Now, there is a friendly player. You can see him on the other side of the goal line, so I had the option of just running it in or passing. In a lot of cases, I would have passed, but I was so close, I went ahead and run it in. So, make sure not to hold the ball near your base because bad things can happen like this. And we're outnumbered here, 2 versus 4, so I pick a caster target, go ahead and get on him, interrupt his spell cast, and then drop him. And you'll notice that while I'm DPSing my target, I'm constantly strafing to keep enemy melee DPS out of the 4-meter range that they need to be able to hit me. So I'm delaying their damage. I pop stun on that opponent and then drop that person with a rail shot. So I do get killed, but I help bring down 2 people after the flag cap, which was pretty sweet. Okay, another good opportunity here from Death from Above. After I get out of the graveyard, I go ahead and start burying a bunch of people as much as possible. And then I'm using Flame Burst whenever I can get close enough. That is my spammable ability. It's really nice. I favor using Rocket Punch first. And then here you can see I've got Gut, which opens up the dot on my target so I can pop Rail Shot. So that's a really nice combination. A lot of times on single targets, I'll open up with Explosive Dart from range, use my free cast Rapid Shots, which doesn't cost any mana, and then when I close the distance, I will use at 10 meters Flame Burst, and then as soon as I'm in melee range, I'll go ahead and pop the Rocket Punch and then start spamming Flame Burst. Now here I'm getting really high on heat, so I go ahead and I cleared some of it, and I'm putting pressure on this opponent, but the problem is I'm getting shot in the back by another player. So this is a 1 versus 2 situation, and unfortunately I don't manage to stay up long enough to kill that opponent. But before I die, I went ahead and put an Explosive Dart on him. I've got a lot of kills after I died by popping Explosive Dart, and after rezzing I get hit quite a bit and put into low health, so I go ahead and strafe behind some line of sight obstacles and just wait to pop out with a really nice AoE. And the enemy players actually charged in, 2 of them, into the AoE, and you want to make sure you stay out of that ground target AoE. It's really, really visible. I see people in the game constantly moving in and out of those the ground target AoE reticles, and you really should stay away from them because they just deal a lot of damage and make life miserable for your healers. So I go ahead and put guard back on Care Bear. At the start of the match, I'll usually ask which players are healers, so I found out that Care Bear is one of the healers, and when the match opened, I had my guard on Care Bear. Now the issue is that in a match like Huttball where you're constantly running and gunning, it can be hard to keep guard on a friendly target. And right there you see I get a killing blow with Missile Blast, so you can use it to drop a target from long range. The only thing to note is that it has a very high heat cost, so I try not to spam it. If I want to pressure targets from range, I'll put Sticky Dark on them first, and then if I want to open up Rail Shot, I'll use my stun, hit them with a Rail Shot, and then try to close the gap. So in a match like this, I queued solo, so it can be really hard to stay in contact with the targets that you're trying to guard. And right here, I have a Mortar Volley fail. So I put it where they were, not where they were going to. I should have led a little bit with my Mortar Volley in front of them to make sure that they're forced to traverse through it and apply some damage. So you can see constantly, as I'm playing, I'm watching my bars to try to keep, right there I got another missile blast, killing blow. And then this is really important right here. I know this is a Sage, so I go ahead and stay parallel on the catwalk. When she knocks me back right there, there's no danger of me getting punted off into a bad situation. Now, I do get knocked off right there by another Jedi Consular who Sage Spec to a stealth and then did a really timely knockback. But stay parallel on catwalks as much as possible. Don't let opponents cut the angle on you and punch you into a bad situation or take you out of the fight. This player that I'm attacking here is my mirror. This is a level 17 Vanguard, and I can tell he's my mirror because he's spamming his Ion Pulse, which is the 10-meter attack, and I'm taking fire from 3 players right here, so I make them choose. Do they want to fall me down to the pit, which is going to take them out of the fight? It turns out that only one of them comes down. I turn around, opportunistically drop explosive dart as the opener, come over, apply gut for the dot. That opens up rail shot. I get a nice 2200 crit, and go ahead and finish off that player with a flame burst. And you can chain the run buff to the heal buff. So this is a really nice way to get back into the action with minimal downtime and to get your health up. And I do have quite a bit of heat build up here, so I go ahead and use the recharge channel ability. Come back to the middle here. We pick up the flag. I put my guard on Care Bear. Again, there are only 2 players in this match that were providing healing from either side, and Care Bear was one of them. So you can't really tell necessarily where heals are coming from, except for the name that comes up on the combat window. That's really helpful, your combat text, to be able to see who's helping out. And I'll generally try to help guard players who are helping others stay alive. So, okay, so I put gut on this opponent here to get the dot proc. He's trying to kite me, so I'm just keeping him within range, and this is partly due to my strafing technique. I've talked a lot about this on my streams. You can see my guide. It's really important to not let people break line of sight on you. So I just popped my vent heat. Now it had built up to just over half, and so this is hilarious right here. I get the accolade for unbeatable, and unfortunately there's just a sea of red all around us. I think most of our friendly players got wiped, and of course I get killed here, which is kind of ironic. Come back in res, and the flag's kind of near the northeast corner of the map, that's the southeast corner of the map, and I'm pushing down, and I know that this flag here is being chased by multiple opponents, so I go ahead and lay down a death from above AoE and force them to traverse across it so we can bury them in a heal deficit. This makes it much easier to bring them down. So there isn't a fixed rotation for the Spec per se. I try to put explosive dart whenever it's on cooldown and use rail shot whenever it's active. Also, what I try to do is close the gap to opponents in melee range, hit them with a rocket punch because it can crit for 2k. It does a lot of damage, and I do try to also apply gut on my opponents, Retractable Blade. Gut is the Vanguard version, and that will both apply a heavy dot with a direct damage component up front and also enable use of rail shot. The great thing also about a dot, if you have it on opponents that can't cap flags, even if they break your line of sight or you die, you're still going to tick for damage on them. And while those other abilities are on cooldown, I use my Flame Burst to continue to apply pressure. It's a spam ability. It's really, really nice. You just have to be within 10 meters of your opponents. And there's another good opportunity to use Death from Above, and I help burn down a target that's in our mist. It's really important to see what other targets your friendlies are attacking and help burn them down. And you can see I'm rotating to keep my heat from building up too much. I'm using the free, no heat cost rapid shots. So we're going ahead and applying pressure, burn on target there. And then you can see here that I get attacked from a melee DPS. So I start to strafe kite him and keep him outside of 4 meter range. So I'm limiting his ability to use his global cooldowns. But because I have abilities that work out to 10 meters of range, I can sit here and use my GCD whenever it's up. And right here I get behind my opponent. You can see they're having a little bit of trouble keeping me in front of them. This is really important from a strafing technique. You both want to, break your opponent's line of sight so they can't activate their global cooldown, and you want to, if they're a melee, keep that gap, especially against the Sith Warrior or Jedi Knight. Keep them in that dead zone between 5 to 9 meters where they can't charge you. Alright, find another opportunity here to use Death from Above, and it does have a really long 1 minute cooldown, so on the one hand you don't want to waste it, but on the other hand you want to use it as much as possible. It really is an ability that wrecks opponents. And right here I make a mistake. This opponent has a knockback. I allow him to get inside position. He knocks me off, And unfortunately, because I'm down here, I can't traverse that pit even though the fire is down, so I decided I'll just go ahead and try to drop this player. Now, because of the bolster mechanic, what you'll see is people currently bracketed together from level 10 up through level 50. I get a nice 2300 crit there from a rail shot and then drop that opponent without even having to go down there with my 10-meter ranged flame burst. The advanced prototype tree provides and supports a very aggressive fluid playstyle, and checking the healer boards here, I give my MVP vote to a healer who did just over 82,000 healing, and I led the way in terms of damage with over 273,000, 51 kills, 23 killing blows, and 2 solo kills. People have asked me, how do you take down a Sage or Sorcerer solo? So I have some bonus footage for you. This is from SWTOR. I'm facing a 28 Commando, 28 Sage on my 20 Powertech. This opponent is backpedaling, so I apply some really heavy bursts with Explosive Dart, Rocket Punch, and Flame Burst. And the Sage kites around the wall, which I'm expecting. They're going to try to heal, so I go ahead and interrupt the heal with a Quell, which locks the healer out of that spell for 4 seconds. She counters with a CC. I counter that with Determination to break the CC, apply an Explosive Dot from range, come up, interrupt that heal with Quell, apply Retractable Blade for the dot, open up Rail Shot, and then burn down the healer. So you can take down healers solo. It's all about getting in their face and applying pressure. You can see me streaming live PvP footage with commentary on my Twitch channel. Let me know what you think of this video. Take care.
Game Breaker TV.